Buddha, the beneful sentient beings. I go for refuge and turn my light into the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha, the beneful all sentient beings. Sanje Judan Zoge Chonam Na Chanjo Padu Dani Gyapso Che Dage Jinso Kebe Chonam Gi Tola Benjere Sanje Dubara Isho Sanje Judan Zoge Chonam Na Chanjo Padu Dani Gyapso Che Dage Jinso Kebe Chonam Gi Tola Benjere Sanje Dubara Isho Sanje Juda Zoge Chonamna Chancho Bando Dane Gyapso Che Dage Jinso Kebe Sonamgi Tola Benjere Sanje Dubara Isho Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Gato Yevatat Desham Chayo Niroda Evam Bhati Mahashramana Yesva Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Niroda Evam Bhati Mahashramana Yesva Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Niroda Evam Bhati All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata, the cessation causes as well as taught by the great seer. Okay, today what we do is that is there anybody who can help me track the meditation emptiness? There's, at the end, there's one section. The compilation of sutras and treatises. Anybody who can help me identify which page number? Page 253. No, 253. 253. Okay, most of you, those from NMC 1, 2, and also from many of the retreats, Bodhicitta retreats, you know the significance of this, and this is a very important combination in the first place in this book. You know that it took us like more than 20 years to this one copy that you have in your hands now. This copy is the result of like 20 years. In a way, it was good that it took us long. Every time we have been incorporating new things, and then how it originally came into being was that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, whenever His Holiness was giving teachings years ago, like 25, or I would rather say 25, yes, since like 25 years ago, when His Holiness gives teachings, and then this this morning during the audience with His Holiness, you could see the rigor of His Holiness, the experience and the memories of the youth, where he would rigorously go into the analysis, the establishing one's own position, and first rejecting the position of the opponents. It's not for the sake of rejecting the erroneous positions rejected. Then establish your position. What you established will be again. Objections can come from the opponents. Again, how you rebuttal those objections to the objections coming from the opponents against your position of your standpoint. So look at this rigor. This is something uniquely present in the texts and the presentations of the Nalanda University, erstwhile Nalanda University tradition, so which we are inheriting now. And today we see that His Holiness the Dalai Lama is the one who truly embodies this tradition. And so this is what was so clearly what His Holiness explained this morning between the audience. And since years ago, during teachings of His Holiness, particularly where one is advised, one is encouraged to go into rigorous analysis, the reasoning analysis, parallel to that should not miss to practice. So these two things should go hand in hand. This is something so unique of the Nalanda tradition, which is so clearly embodied in His Holiness's being. So from all the collections of the important passages, the verses His Holiness uses to teach us emptiness, like 25 years ago, I've been compiling them all the time. And then it was brought to this. Today, what we have here as dependent origination and emptiness, a compilation of excerpts from sutras and treatises for meditation on dependent origination and emptiness. So this was originally came from the incredibly great, precious advice of His Holiness the Dalai Lama with respect to the meditation emptiness and studies, contemplation, and meditation, and gradually with the span of in time, again, where I was receiving teaching from my own teachers and from my own reading, where I find some very important passages, I also did not miss to include them here. So this is how this competition came into being, and I would suggest that each one of us, once in a while, see if you can read these passages, and because that we are always studying very complicated text and a very sophisticated text. And if you read this, you are, I would say, the legible person who's legible, truly legible to really get some sense out of this, even though you may not get full, but first of all, you're the right person, and then to leave a special imprint in your mind, deeper imprint in mind, to see that to go after the more meaningful things rather than go after trivialities. So in our life, since our childhood, we all have the experience that when it comes to very small, trivial things, some people, they're so good at it, and then some people, they're not so interested. When something comes to very important things, very sophisticated things, then some other people take over and see that is important. So these are the points. These are the things. It's all because of the imprints activating in a mind. So imprints. So what we're studying here and getting such incredibly, and we will not sense that this morning during the audience with His Holiness, what His Holiness taught us. So these we just thought that His Holiness asked us to be very rational, not to follow blindly, and so forth. But there's a deeper meaning there because of His Holiness's all these many years and very many past lifetime, the practices, studies, contemplation, and so forth. So this is now percolated in our being, and we're not aware, but it's happened. So the imprints are laid within us, and the benefit of imprint. Just let me share you one small anecdote, and then we'll look into reading this. At the time of Buddha, when the Buddha was giving a discourse, there were 3 young boys, And one young boy was all throughout the teaching, from the beginning to the end, the Buddha was giving the teaching, and the young boy was just crippling with his finger, the hand gesture, this gesture, and scribbling on the ground, on the mud ground, like this all the time. This kind of hand gesture all the time, from the beginning till the end, like this. And second boy, just from the beginning to the end, he was gazing at the sky all the time, not at all focusing on what the Buddha was teaching. Only the third was so attentively listening to the Buddha's teachings. And at the end of the teaching, Ananda, Venerable Ananda, Buddha's attendant, chief attendant, got up and asked the Buddha, "So, sir, the Venerable Tathagata, look at these three boys. What we notice is that all throughout the teachings, the first boy was constantly scribbling like this, and the second boy was not at all paying attention to what you are teaching, but just gazing at the sky all the time. And only the third one was so attentively listening. How come these boys, they look so same age, physically same, but what they do is very different. So what might be the reason?" Then the Buddha said that the first boy in his former life was a snake. He was a snake. He was always with this physical movement. That was the imprint laid in his mind. But this imprint, now this is what he's used to. And the second boy in his past life was an astrologer. So interested in the sky to see the celestial bodies, the formations, and so forth. And the third was a great scholar in philosophy. Great scholar in philosophy. For him, there's no tiredness. It's like every time the Buddha was teaching something, for him it is like celebrating birthday, enjoying. So he was fully focused, attentively focused. So likewise, we study like this, and as I said earlier, it did come to my mind that looking at the world we see that quite demoralizing sometimes. People who are really, so if I were to be with you, so years and years, I may just be not seeing the ocean. So there's great hope for the humanity. Look at these people. They're all about compassion, bodhicitta, wisdom, emptiness, regression, discussing what they talk. They don't talk about the litigation. You stole my property. You stole my property. No, it's all about compassion, bodhicitta, wisdom, emptiness. So this looks so hopeful. It's so beautiful. The moment you step out of this, you go to anywhere. You go anywhere, and you see that even the universities where it says a Buddhist department in the West, in India, and wherever, Buddhist department, you go there. What is actually taught is so shallow. This is very sad. It's very sad. And if somebody comes to study like what you do, and others will try to just wipe you out, marginalize you, because that they cannot shine, because the people will be attracted to these reasons coming from the Nalanda, erstwhile Nalanda University. So it's very sad, unfortunately. So now it says that for example, it says that how to generate bodhicitta. There are many ways by which to generate bodhicitta. Some, when they see that it's such a degenerated era, where the smart, extremely great practitioners, they are tarnished. And the just hopeless people, they come on the surface and they come to dominate. This is a degenerate era. Out of such situation, seeing that situation out of compassion for the sentient beings, you say that, and the preciousness of the Buddha's teachings, preciousness of bodhicitta, you make a very courageous commitment that may I become Buddha to take the responsibility. That particularly, this is so less. If there are so many bodhisattvas around you, it's fine, you don't have to worry, they will take care of it. But there's nobody taking care of the sentient beings. The beings are suffering, ignorantly destroying your own virtues, and ignorantly embracing the miseries, causes of miseries. So out of great compassion, then one becomes particularly moved to take the committed to take the Drepung Loseling Bodhicitta. So this is what I'm expecting from each one of you. It's not that easy. In this world where they say, even if you get Dharma very easily, people just brush that aside, and you come all the way from your place, spend money, spend time, invest time, leave, visas, flight tickets, and then the PAP, and so many other complications. You just somehow made it, which means that you have this. If these are the people who do not have this, the potential to awaken, to be of service to His Holiness, to be of service to all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, then who on the planet Earth? Who on the planet Earth? So therefore, each one of us, by being here, now we're left alone a few days, just make a commitment every now and then, just within the next 70, 72 or 73 hours during these days, just make a commitment that may I take the responsibility the way His Holiness is taking to save the world, to save the sentient beings, to save the Dharma, to save the whole world, that I'll become Buddha. I'll generate bodhicitta. I'll become Buddha for the manifold sentient beings. So this is what I would suggest each one of you doing. So with this mind, and given that the whole teaching is targeted, the main target, the audience here is NMC1 and NMC2, and I'm expecting you to understand what we're reading here. And for those of us who are from NDC5, and also those who otherwise come based on exceptions, I will quickly explain the first the passage, and then we'll continue to read the following. So the first passage is the Buddha indicating the benefit of the wisdom of emptiness. Where the wisdom of emptiness is missing, it is like extreme. All the merit that accumulated is going to be, if the benefit you get out of this merit would be so less. The moment it is, say, it's like a food without the salt. Just add a pinch of a salt and it gives a whole flavor to the food. Likewise, the merit, however enormous merit that you accumulate, even though it can be small, but if the salt, the seasoning is added of the wisdom, then it makes a whole difference to the virtues multiplied much more. And the Buddha is comparing the two bodhisattvas. One bodhisattva who generated bodhicitta since eons ago, but deprived of the wisdom of emptiness, and another bodhisattva who just freshly became a bodhisattva, but is actually endowed with the wisdom of emptiness. And the Buddha compared these two by saying that however innumerable virtues merits this, the first bodhisattva accumulated over the eons, but after the wisdom of emptiness, when compared with the merit, a simple merit accumulated by the bodhisattva who freshly generated bodhicitta, but endowed with the wisdom of emptiness. So the two, there is beyond comparison. The one with just, although newly become a bodhisattva, but endowed with the wisdom of emptiness, that the merit that he or she gets is far what excels the other bodhisattvas' accumulation merit. Okay, so from this we see that is the benefit of the wisdom of emptiness. And then from your own experience, I would say that from your own experience, in the long run, if you stick to this, be very consistent, interest, and consistently going there, and you see that you're growing. And once your knowledge, for the studies is like quite comprehensive, and contemplation also good, and you get some experience is growing, and it's supported by meditation, then you realize that, okay, in this world, whatever activities are there, including Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, likewise I pray to this, that, and so forth. I believe in this, I don't believe in this, and so forth. And then whatever you're doing, So let's say your business, or your teaching career, or your the corporate world, whatever you're doing, we said that then you will get a confidence. This is the ultimate solution. The wisdom of emptiness, supported body, this is the ultimate. All others are just waste of my time. Waste of my time and some. It's just totally, say, the courses which are discordant or non-concomitant with the result they're expecting. And some are the course, although they're course, but course they're so feeble in the power. Whereas this one, wisdom, emptiness, supported bodhicitta, this is the most important thing to be done. Then you realize that this is something that I've encountered in my life. That's something which I can't expect. For example, a beggar cannot expect that you dig the floor of your house and you see a treasure. It's impossible. It's almost next to the impossibility. So this is exactly what happens to me. This is such joy will come the way the manner in which Buddha Shantideva indicated in his text. So with this mind, let's read this together. And while reading this, please make sure that remember the three ways to read these texts. First is just reading the verse flow. Second, verse flow and the meanings reflected. And number three, verse flow, meanings reflected, and experiences invoked. Also, if not the third, for the third, you expected to have many years of studies, contemplation, meditation. If not the third, at least we can do the second. Let's try that. Gift of Youth Ratna Sutra. Manjushri, whoever listens even with doubt to this teaching on emptiness, generates much greater merit than a bodhisattva who, lacking skill in means, practices the six perfections for 100,000 eons. This being so, what need is there to say anything about a person who listens to this teaching without doubt? What need is there to say anything about a person who imparts the scripture in writing, memorizes it, and also teaches it thoroughly and extensively to others? The treasure of the One Thus Gone Sutra. Any person who possessing all these 10 great known virtues enters into the teaching of the selflessness and has faith and conviction that all phenomena are from the beginning pure or the true existence, does not go to a bad rebirth. Chapter on Subduing Devil Sutra. If any bhikshu realizes that all phenomena are absolutely pacified of inherent existence, and the beginning of the defilements is devoid of its self-nature, it will remove the guilt of having defilement and make unstable the defilements, thus deeming even the immeasurable negativities dysfunctional, let alone the secondary wrongs done associated with ethics and rituals. Arideva's founded verses on the middle way. Those with less merit will not even have a doubt in this Dharma of ultimate reality. Should any inquiry ever arise in someone, it will shatter samsara into pieces. Acharya Dharmakirti's commentary on the Vedic cognitions. One is liberated through the view of emptiness. The rest of the meditations are for the sake of that. Bodhisattva Shantideva's guided the Bodhisattva's way of life. All of these branches of practices were taught by the Buddha for the sake of wisdom. Therefore, those who wish to pacify suffering should generate this wisdom. Acharya Chandrakirti's entry in the middle way. Chapter 6. Even as an ordinary being, when hearing about emptiness, if one experiences with an utter joy again and again, tears from such pure joy, motion widens eyes, and one's hair stands on end, one has received the wisdom of full awakening. Upali Request Sutra. The various delightful flowers blossom, and the sparkling supreme gold in their pots stand so alluring. For none of these is their creator, they are posited by the power of thought. It is true that the world is imputed. The discourse about Vajira Sutta. The mind is demonic which views the true self. You have a wrong view. These compositional aggregates are empty. There is no being in them. Just one designates a card, in dependence upon the collection of parts, so we assert a conventional sentient being in dependence upon the aggregates. Venerable Shavara's writings. Searching for reality throughout space, one finds not the periphery nor the center. All perception cease completely. Likewise, through the thorough search of mind and phenomena, one finds not even an atom of essence. Since the searching mind is not found, not seeing anything is seeing the reality. Saint Sara's writings. By entering into emptiness but devoid of compassion, one would find this. By meditating upon compassion alone, one will not attain liberation but remain in samsara. The one capable of grasping the unity of the two will not remain in samsara, nor abide in personal nirvana. King of Concentration Sutra. Just as in a dream of a young girl, she met with a boy and saw his death. Joyous was she at the meeting and in English at his death. View all phenomena as thus. Are in Nagarjuna's fundamental wisdom of the middle way. Ceasing all karma's afflictions is nirvana. Karma's conceptual thoughts. These arise from elaboration of grasping a true existence. Elaboration ceases by into emptiness. Neither the aggregates, no different from the aggregates. They don't. No is he dependent on them. The Tathagata does not possess the aggregates. What is the Tathagata? That which dependent originates is posited to be into independent existence. That which independently designated is the middle way. Since there is no phenomenon that is not dependent originated, therefore there is no phenomenon that is not empty. Are in Nagarjuna's precious garland. If the person is not earth, not water, not fire, not air, not space, not also consciousness, and not all of them, where is a person out of those? Just as a person is not truly existent because of being an aggregation of the 6 elements, each element also is not truly existent as each is an aggregation of its own constituents. Compendium of Teaching Sutra. Forms appear as a mass of form. Feelings resemble bubbles in water. And discrimination is like a mirage. Mental formations are like plantain trees. Consciousness is like a magical illusion. So taught Suramitra, Buddha. Are in Nagarjuna's comment on the awakening mind. Those who understand this emptiness of phenomena will also conform to the law of karma and its results. That is more amazing than amazing. That is more. Arideva's founded verses on middle way. When dependent arising is seen, ignorance does not occur. Thus, through all efforts, strive to find this subject. His Holiness, the 7th Dalai Lama's twin shower feats, are some of the 4 mindfulnesses as a guide to the way of the middle way. At the crossroads of the 6 collections of consciousness that have diverse perceptions, are seen the hazy dualistic phenomena which are baseless. There is a magical show that is by nature deceptive. Don't believe them to be true, but view them as having the nature of emptiness. Don't let your mind go astray, but place it within the nature of appearance, emptiness. Do not see mindfulness, hold it within the nature of appearance, emptiness. The sphere of appearing and existing phenomena is pervaded by the space of the ultimate clear light of suchness. There is an ineffable ultimate reality. View this nature of emptiness through the abandoned mental contrivances. But place it within the ambience of reality. Through not losing mindfulness, hold it within the ambience of reality. His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama's prayer for proliferating the Dhamma snows. Venerable Marabhadozawa, Sheba Dorji, and so on. The host of the precious Kagyu, the source of blessings, the chain of honor, excellent masters of this outstanding tradition, to you all I pray, may the Buddha Dhamma of Landus knows blaze forevermore. All phenomena encompassing samsara and nirvana are but the radiance of the spontaneous awareness. Awareness itself, devoid of elaborations, is realized in the initial dharmakaya. Pervading all existences and appearances of samsara and nirvana is the great Mahamudra. May the Buddha Dhamma of the Landus knows blaze forevermore. Arya Nagarjuna's impress of Dharma Dhatu. Impermanent, suffering, and empty, these 3 they purify the mind. The Dharma that is unsurpassed and purify the mind is a lack of intrinsic nature. Concluding prayer from Lama Tsongkhapa's Ocean of Reasoning, a comment to Arya Nagarjuna's fundamental wisdom of the middle way. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always be guided by the Arya Jishri and be able to uphold the Dhamma in general and the teachings of the dependent origination in particular, even across my life. Okay, so the sadhana of Shri Heruka. So most of you already know this. But if there are some who do not know this, let me explain this. So Shri Heruka is the sacred name of the Buddha in one of his manifestations. And whenever the Buddha manifests in different forms of Buddhas, of course Buddha can manifest not necessarily as Buddha, but even as bodhisattvas, even as ordinary beings, even as what we see as the creatures like the tiny insects, whatever, but in whatever form other beings can be benefited. But when the Buddhas manifest themselves in the form of, they emanate in the form of another Buddha, then they choose the names. How they choose the names is purely for the benefit of the beings. For them, there's no difference whatever with the names, no names. Buddha, they're forever in 100% infinite ease and total fearlessness. They already attained that state. But for the benefit of sentient beings, just imagine. I remember this is so beautiful, even to think of that. So for example, like here, the cousin here, Samjala here, and who had been, and then her sister was also here, and we were together since childhood, when I was just 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. I'm sure that she must have carried me on her shoulder. Yeah. So this is amazing. So those beautiful days, and her father and my father, they were brothers, and when my father, having total 7 siblings, her father is one of them. And my father, the most ugly of all the 7, most ugly, which I came to know from my aunt. Okay, so this is where the Buddhas, how they choose their names is not at all for themselves, but for the benefit of beings. And some of you heard that when I was in school. So for years we were separated. We were separate for years. We were in Dharamsala. The cousins, they were in the Nepal. So we were just separate for years. The forming years, we were just separated. I met my sister Samjala here. After that separation, for the first time when I was in class 10, I was sitting for the board exam. Okay, so just to cut it short, what I'm saying is that this is so beautiful. Each one of us, we had that experience. For some of us, it might not have happened, but don't worry about it. Think about, there are people. You are. Just try to engage in your virtues, and you are bound to meet with the beings in this life. In these lives, they say, in some cases, many who are there to truly shower love and affection to you. So, how the Buddhas, when I see these things, when I first read this, and I was just awestruck to see the compassion of the Buddhas, choosing their names for the benefit of the beings, to how they effectively benefit the beings. So it reminded me of my school days. I think about like age 9 or 10. And all these years in school, boarding school, and even to be in the school is very, very meritorious. Otherwise, in fact, my cousin is here. She knows things better. That so extremely poor condition, and my father could not really support his 3 children, and the mother passed away, and we were put in boarding school, and almost like 12 months we were there. And once in a while we may get like 6-7 days one time in a year with the parents, not with the parents, with the father. So, but one thing I learned from my father is that there is something known as compassion, which is fully devoted to you. Otherwise, in school, just struggling, fighting, competing to make sure that you survival of the fittest. This was the situation, and then everybody is trying to prove that I'm right, you're wrong, and the other one saying you're wrong, I'm right. This is how people struggle. All these children, they're struggling in the school. And one day I was with my father, and I was just maybe 8 or 9 years old, around like. Manvik, how old are you, Manvik? Oh, like shout.
11 years old.
11 years old. Okay, I was 8 years old then. And then I started to have a quarrel with my father, verbal fight with my father. I was saying something to prove something, and he was defending himself, proving himself. And suddenly he said, my son, you are the winner, I lost. I could not believe that. In this world, there is somebody who accepted that I'm the winner, and he's the loser. Wow. Then as I grow and go into the IBT, Bodhicitta teaching, there I say, this is known as the unconditional love. So this is the love of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. They simply wish goodness for you, and not at all for others. Not for themselves, only for you, not for themselves. This is Buddha's Bodhisattva's compassion. So, how the Buddha manifested in the form of Shri Heruka. So how he chose his name is to benefit us. How to benefit us is like, for example, let's say a small child, the mother is always depositing X amount of money in the name of the child for her future studies, for her future education. The child, just few months old, 1 year old, 2 years old, what do they know? So best thing for the child, the best thing is that if you give a chocolate, that will make him or her happy. Oh, I'm depositing money for your future education. It doesn't make any sense to the child. But these are the visionary plans, the love, long-term and very profound love demonstrated by the parents for you. Think about your future. This is exactly what very profound affection manifested, profound compassion manifested in the form of wisdom. That the beings be endowed with wisdom. So His Holiness this morning indicated that establishing the reality with establishing your position, then rejecting the other's position, and then rebuttaling the objections coming from the other side with the positions that you have set forth of yourself. So with this, look at this, how the Buddha, when manifested in the form of Shri Heruka, don't think that that is the Shri Heruka Buddha different, Buddha Shakyamuni different. No, Buddha Shakyamuni himself manifested in different kinds of the Buddhas. For example, Buddha Shakyamuni in Rajgir, when the Buddha was at the present in the sutra, Heart Sutra, the discourse, simultaneously in Amarvadi in South India, quite close to here. Anyone, any idea how long is from here? Amarvadi? Huh? Anyone? Yes, over there. Okay. So in fact, we were close to that. We went to the Nagarjuna Konda. Yes, over there. Sneha and Srivaniji, two of them are the one who hosted the Bodhicitta retreat in Hyderabad recently. And then we went there in Nagarjuna's Konda. Yes.
It takes 15 hours, Geshe.
From here? Yes. 15 hours from here?
Yes.
Okay. So there, the Buddha manifested in the form of Shri Heruka manifestation, and manifested in the form of Shri Kalachakra, manifested in the form of Shri Kalachakra, and gave teachings there. And at one point, the Buddha was embodied by King Indrabodhi. And King Indrabodhi requested the Buddha, they say, you became Prince Siddhartha, you became Buddha by leaving the palace. You become Buddha by leaving the palace and went into the 6 years of the austerity practice, and finally you become Buddha. And so please give me teachings that I don't have to leave the palace and then I become Buddha. And the Buddha instantly manifested himself in the form of Shri Guhya Samaja, the Buddha Shri Guhya Samaja, and give teachings on Shri Guhya Samaja. And then the king Indrabodhi, within the very lifetime, without leaving the palace, he became enlightened. He became Buddha. So the Buddha can manifest in any form. So the Buddha Shakyamuni himself manifested in the form of Shri Heruka. So this sacred name, Shri Heruka, every time we recite this with folded hands, Shri Heruka, Shri Heruka, Shri Heruka, then recite the following verses in Tibetan. Heni kungu chungna su gyube sem te gyu danyi to tabar chebe tombe chuki dame batang ru ni kansage dadu zime namdo ga chabe gobe dada chabe kansage dame batang ka ni te khona ni yu jen yu me nyu me tume sosu nyu su me ne batang shiri ni yu tongba yin chira wa deshu ni jesu shube nyi su shube nyi su me vi shi ni evam ge teno This is the Tibetan version. So you recite it in English. You learn it by heart, and then wherever you travel, you recite and reflect on meanings. And every time you recite this is extremely profound. Not just emptiness. How the teachings of emptiness was given. The design of this teaching is done in such a way that it leaves no room for you to hang on to intrinsic reality. All intrinsic reality which nails you or which just traps you, keep trapped in samsara, they're all demolished. So it says, Shri Heruka, 4 of the 4. Because I'm saying this in great detail for the reason this is such a sacred place. Such a sacred place. How many thousands of the last 70 since 1960s? How many years now? Since 1960s. How many years? Huh? Almost 65 years. 65 years. Generation after generation of great scholars, great masters, great realized beings were produced. In the debate court, thousands of monks were debating together. What are they debating on? To establish what emptiness is. What is bodhicitta? And every time when the debate comes to the closure, the bodhicitta verses is being cited, and everybody hearing this, they knew that now the debate is going to close, like maybe 11 p.m. so forth. Instantly, everybody will just remain silent. Otherwise, they were discussing what kind of points to make. Then they all go into silence, contemplating the words, the very profound words on bodhicitta, the raised by Junior, the monk scholar, and the put as a debate point to the defenders, and then everybody understands. Okay, now then they will contemplate on bodhicitta based on the lines cited by the person meditate on this. So look, these are the debate courtyards where, so we had the audience with His Holiness, and then we had the photograph in Drepung Loseling, and we had the photograph, the first one in Drepung Loseling. So that Drepung Loseling, the first way we took the first photograph. Drepung Loseling. That was the place, actually that is the most important place from this whole campus. That is the most important place. That is known as Drepung Sokshen. This is the most important place. So at the moment this is the smallest now, because that it was first built, and this was the place where His Holiness gave numerous teachings. It's blessed. So I would suggest that within the next few days, I would highly suggest that each one of you go there, or if there's a group tour, that would be wonderful to go there, then go inside and just pray to His Holiness, to the Buddhas, or Buddhas, all the great teachers there. Even my own teacher, Venerable who was the common abbot, he presided over all these, the collective, the 2 monastic universities coming together. So he was the chief abbot, and he presided over that. This is such energized, very virtuous place here. So you go there and do some prayers. This will help us leave such a powerful imprint in the mind. Okay, so having said this, so let's say Shri Heruka. So we put the Shri, the last, Heruka Shri. And those of you who already heard this before, this is going to pray for you to refresh your mind. And those of us who do not hear this is particularly, I'm taking the opportunity for us, that each one of us, we leave a special imprint of this, the sacred name of Buddha Shri Heruka. Okay, so here it says that to understand this, but what we need to do is that we just look at me there with 2 hands. So what we learned the last few days is that like the 2 hands coming together, then invariably the sound erupts. So this sound is a metaphor for the sound of the pains and the miseries and the sadness, anguish, anxiety, and the helplessness, hopelessness, so forth. So this should naturally come into being because of the two factors. So loosely speaking, external factors and internal factors. And more technically speaking, the ignorance, misperceiving the selfhood of the person, and ignorance which misperceives the selfhood of phenomena too. So these two ignorances combined together, invariably then you interact with the world. Oh, the weather's so hot. Oh, so going all around, and then hungry, and feeling tired, no water, feeling tired, thirsty, right? And this young boy, he said, taking photographs. He said, now it's done, finish, right? He wants to go. He feeling hungry. He said, no photograph, Geshe, finish now, right? So it's also like he's protecting me. Maybe he's protecting me, but he's also hungry himself. So he wants to make sure that everybody leaves. Okay. So we interact with the external world, with the heat, with the duration, and then we start to feel the pain. So all these pains are not because of I meet with external factors. I meet with the heat. I meet with the no water and so forth, but because of the misperception of the intrinsic I meeting with the intrinsic no water, intrinsic no food, intrinsic heat. These two ignorances come together, then erupts into the pains. This is how the misery happens. So the Buddha taught the selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena to eradicate the two kinds of ignorance. So here, he ru ka shiri, first he. So of the two hands, look, say, the ignorance misconceiving the person as of selfhood, as intrinsically real. So, and then the phenomena with which the person interacts as intrinsically real. So say, he is a selflessness of phenomena. So the world with which you're interacting, so they lack intrinsic nature. So, the phenomena is empty of intrinsic reality. So of the two hands, empty of intrinsic reality. It's not intrinsic, empty of intrinsic reality. So the ignorance viewing the phenomena as intrinsic real dissolves. So earlier there were two. Of the two now, one is dissolved, one is left. So this is what the Advaita Vedanta calls as a non-duality. So there's only the person left, consciousness I, this person is intrinsic according to the Advaita, not only Advaita, almost all the non-Buddhist traditions, for them, this self, the person, consciousness, that is intrinsically real, permanent, and the permanent, unitary, independent, real. So now according to Buddhism, he ru, not only this phenomenon with which you interact is empty of intrinsic reality, even the person, you as a person who interacts with the outside world, even that is also empty of intrinsic reality, then that dissolves. Now the complete non-duality is established. Okay, now there's no two hands to bang, to create to erupt into the pains. So both are dissolved. So this is where you are 100% sure of all the pains to be cut, and that your happiness, the ease, expands to infinity. So what is left now? Of the two, first, selfless phenomena, what is left? Only one side is left. Misperceiving the person as intrinsically real. Hey, then the ru, this also dissolves. Selfless person dissolves. What is left now? Non-duality is left. Complete non-duality is left. This complete non-duality is the ka. He ru ka. Non-duality is left. Now who is seeing this non-duality? My wisdom is seeing this. My wisdom. But this how does this wisdom see the non-duality? This wisdom sees the non-duality in a non-dualistic way. This wisdom sees the non-duality in the non-dualistic way with the non-duality. Let me repeat it. This wisdom sees the non-duality in the non-dualistic way with the non-duality. With the non-duality. This is Shri. Let me say it once more. Who sees this non-duality? Is the wisdom of emptiness. Wisdom of emptiness. We see the non-duality in the non-dualistic way with respect to the non-duality as an object. So I would rather say, I won't use the word as object. Or as object, you may get a feeling there's object-subject. So the wisdom of emptiness sees the non-duality in the non-dualistic way with respect to the non-duality. The mind, your wisdom of emptiness, will sees the non-duality in a non-dualistic way with respect to the non-duality. Okay, this is the meaning of Shri. It's so profound. All our problems. So if you're able to see the surface of a person, surface of phenomena, and then also see that the mind we see the surface of these two, the non-duality, even that is also non-dual, even that is also empty of intrinsic reality, then there's no stone left unturned with respect to overcoming samsara and overcoming these stains of the mind. So that guarantees that afflictive and cognitive obscurations both are going to be eradicated. Okay, so now to elaborate a little bit on this, the first, hey, is the substance of phenomena. So substance of phenomena, so here, before we read it, a substance of phenomena, let's see that this is again another concept which is so important. That whole world, for example, the phenomena, there are innumerable, how many phenomena exist in the world, in the universe? Infinite phenomena there. How can I realize the ultimate reality of each of the phenomena? This could be a question. So, for this, there's another concept so precious, which is all the phenomena, however numerous, however infinite they are nothing but the radiance of one's own mind. They are the radiance of one's own mind. The radiance of one's own mind. This is so important, so important. And for the time being, we see that, okay, there's a flower there. There's a flower there. There's a flower there with the color, shape, leaves, and so forth. There's a flower there. So it's so intrinsic there, but not as a radiance of one's own mind. What do I mean by radiance of one's own mind? This is a very serious question. Particularly, I would say for NMC1 and NMC2, you must more precisely, I would say, but the NMC1, you must try to understand this. And NMC2, you're in the process of learning this. You must learn it also later on. And then the others, we will need to leave imprints in your mind. So what does it mean by radiance of one's mind? This is so important. Okay, let's say that whatever we see, they're nothing but the play of one's own mind. They're nothing but the play of one's own mind. What do you mean by that? This is a question. For example, like say, look at the lights. The ceiling lights, they're white. What color is that? White? White color, the ceiling lights. White. So this whiteness is not really there. It's just how your mind plays. I would say that to some extent, the neuroscientists, very refined neuroscientists can understand this. 2019, when I was attending one conference in Israel, a conference on consciousness, and there were many organized by a very renowned neuroscientist, very senior renowned neuroscientist, Israeli neuroscientist, and then there were other many neuroscientists. And then from the hotel to the conference venue, we were on a bus, and then I was sitting with the very senior neuroscientist, and he asked me, "Tell me, we have so much of the disturbance, agitations on the emotional level. Tell me how, from Buddhist point of view, this can be tackled." And I told him that, okay, so we learn how to tackle these things by bringing about cognitive transformation. cognitive transformation of how you perceive things. Whatever we are seeing, they're actually not real. And he said, okay, that I know. From the pure neuroscience point of view, we can establish that whatever we are seeing is just a play of the neurons. This is what he said. And I agree with him. But to what extent outside things are seen as a play of neuroscience, the neurons or the neural firings? So this needs to be explored. For example, like Ben Tenzing Selam, he can be the right person to explore that part. So today's neuroscientists, to what extent they understand the correlation between the neural firings with the explanation of the external world. So that's something to be, I think that the Ben can do that. So to a great extent what he said is very true. But we need to contemplate on this more. And then with a little experience of emptiness, and again looking at how things are nothing but the radiance of one's own mind, to contemplate more on this, then your conviction keep growing. Okay. So for this, that for example, when I was a little boy, maybe I think 10 years old in school, one winter, say everything was seen as so intrinsically real, of course, 24/7 seen as intrinsically real. And we were evening at like 3 o'clock or 3:30, we were in the hall, all the little boys and girls together, do some little bit of prayer for 15 minutes, and then we disperse. Because it was winter, it's already dark. And there was fluorescent light, you call it fluorescent light, outside. And I had like a jacket, and the color was supposed to be blue. The color of the jacket was intrinsically blue. And this little boy, I have a nice jacket with the blue, intrinsically blue. But I could not articulate it's intrinsic, non-intrinsic, but it's blue, which means intrinsic. Then I got out, I saw that my jacket is just purple. Absolutely purple. A question came to me, now which is real? In the daytime I was seeing is blue, now I'm seeing is purple, which is real? It is intrinsically purple now. And I did not dye this. I did not dye this. I did not give additional color. But this is purple, perhaps because of this light. But in the daytime, because of sunlight. If this is wrong, sunlight came also wrong. So which is the right color? That brought a disturbance in my mind. Which means my belief in intrinsicality of the color was shaken. You getting it? So from there I got a feeling that even what we are seeing, these things, red, blue, green, this shape, that shape, these are all just a radiance of one's own mind. Radiance has a connotation of light. Without light you cannot see that, but you can see that, which means there's a radiance. This radiance is not coming from outside, it's the inside radiance, one's own mind, radiance of one's mind. Independent of that, there's nothing really there from the outside. So this understanding, there's just radiance of one's mind, that doesn't really connote the understanding of the emptiness of the things. But it takes you closer, coming to know that, okay, all these problems are sources of this complicated person. If this complicated person is gone, all problems will go away. Sometimes it happens like this, resents. Sometimes all problems somehow connected with one person. When this person is transferred, all the problems solved. Sometimes it happens. Maybe you are the one. You blame others, right? Oh, yeah, it's all because one person. Maybe when you are transferred, everything becomes so normal. Yeah, maybe you are the one, I don't know. Okay, so with this, the radiance, this is the meaning. This, again, a very profound thing. So now, all what we see as phenomena, they're nothing but the play, the radiance of one's own mind. So mind becomes like the representative of all the phenomena. If you see the emptiness of this mind, that suffices seeing the emptiness of all the phenomena. You getting it? Emptiness is the intrinsic reality of all the phenomena. Tenzin Mendola, you following me? Yes, I know you could follow it. She's very smart. Okay, very young, but she could follow everything. Okay, so therefore, they say, hey. Hey is a surface of phenomena, then pointing to the emptiness of the mind, whose radiance manifests in the form of all the other phenomena in the universe. You getting it? Okay. Then, Ru is the substance of person, emptiness of the person. How you establish the emptiness of the person, where Nagarjuna taught us. Then, Ka is a non-duality left. And then, Shri, emptiness, this mind, emptiness, this mind which sees the non-duality. The non-duality sees it non-dualistically with respect to the non-duality of the object, which means that this mind, this wisdom, which sees the emptiness itself is the empty of intrinsic reality. So that is empty of intrinsic reality, non-dual with the non-duality as is object of perception, apprehension. So this is Shri. So when say the emptiness of the phenomena, emptiness of the person, the non-duality, and the mind which sees the wisdom of emptiness, which is self, is the one which sees the non-duality, sees in non-dualistic way with respect to the non-duality. Then if this mind is dissolved into emptiness, it does not dissolve, it doesn't become empty. It becomes empty of intrinsic reality. These two are different. Intrinsic reality. Okay, let's read this 3 times together with folded hands. Okay, with folded hand. Shiri Heruka, Shiri Heruka, Shiri Heruka. He is the surface of phenomena. Emptiness of the mind, which is the source of everything, as it is imputed to be of causal nature. Ru is the substance of the person, emptiness of the self, that is fabricated by the web of conceptual thought that grasps at the self of person. Ka is the ultimate reality, absence of dissonant duality of subject and object. Shri is the non-dual exalted wisdom that abides in congruence with the emptiness of the object. This is the meaning of the Evam. Okay, if you can recite this as, every time you're traveling on the train, the bus, or by aeroplane, or by car, taking morning walks, or going to the forest, just taking the adventure walk. So just recite these and contemplate on the emptiness. This becomes very complete. There's a special imprint in the mind. Okay, good. Okay, we left yesterday. We left on page 280, I think. Page 280. From the there's a section which begins objection. Do you see that? Objection. Okay. I do not claim that the mere. So we are now to establish the emptiness of the person. Depicted by Ru. Ru, Shri He Ru Ka, depicted by Ru to establish the emptiness of the person. The metaphor, the analogy was given, the analogy of the chariots was given, and establishing the emptiness of the chariot. So there, on the 7 modes of rejection, we did that. So now, objection from the opponent's side, saying that I do not claim that the mere collection of the parts is the chariot. Rather, I pass it as the chariot, the distinctive shape of the parts when they are arranged. So, I did remind this yesterday, and I would suggest that the way and the manner in which. So we try to explain in some easy ways, some with metaphors of the Buddha image with the dots and so forth. But how it is presented by Acharya Chandrakirti, this is something that we should not miss. We must make sure that we understand what Acharya Chandrakirti taught. And finally, that we should be convinced. You should at least what we suggest is that at least we must really be able to understand what Acharya Chandrakirti is teaching, and his train of thoughts, the depth of his thoughts. We must try to get it. Okay. So objection, what it says that now the opponent is saying that I don't accept I don't mean to say that the collection of the parts is the chariot, but the special shape of the collection of the parts is the chariot. The way we said last time is about the special configuration. Special configuration referring to the shape. So that is the chariot reply. Now, Acharya Chandra, what it does, okay, now this is going to summary that I'll give you, and then we'll read it. It becomes quicker for us. So summary that I'd like to give is that when you say the shape of the chariot is made of the wheel, the axle, and what? Huh? The carriage. So all these small parts, you can unassemble them. So when you say the shape of the chariot, which shape? So look, this is the unique way Acharya Chandra the employs to analyze the chariot with respect to intrinsic nature. So when you say shape, which shape? Shape of the collection, or the shape of the individual parts? Which shape? This says, so there's no shape as a shape of chariot besides the shape of the individual parts or the collection of the parts. You agree? Okay, now Acharya Chandra is rejecting each part, so they're leaving no stone unturned. So it says that if an individual, then the individual again is of two kinds. Individual when the chariot is unassembled, and the individual when the chariot is set up, assembled. So even the individual we can thought of two ways. Individual unassembled, that is not the chariot. You agree? Because you put all these individual parts in a box, there's no chariot there, but the individual parts are there. Now if you say the individual parts, when they are put together, assembled, so Acharya Chandra says, if you say that is a chariot, then Acharya Chandra says that this shape of the wheel, when assembled, and the wheel when unassembled, this is the same. There's no difference. You agree? You agree? Yeah, same. There's no difference. Wheel assembled and wheel when unassembled on its own. There's no difference to the shape. There's no difference. So if one is not the chariot, the other can also not be the chariot. Then you may say, oh no, now it's not that. So the shape of the collection. Shape of the collection, then they say the unassemble them, there's especially the collection there, so shape is there. So that is not the chariot. Then no, it's a special configuration. When they're assembled, and then there's a special shape coming about. That is the shape. Then the Acharya Chandra says that, so this shape is shape of one, shape of the collection of the parts in an assembled form. So to say that the shape is the shape, okay, this is the key part. This, if you read Acharya Chandra's text, if you understand thoroughly what Acharya Chandra is teaching us, then your conviction will grow. So this shape, Acharya Chandra says, so that the opponent saying that this shape is the chariot, is why is he saying that? Why are they saying? They're saying that because they're deep inside they have to believe that the chariot exists intrinsically. You're getting it? It's all because of this debate. Chariot exists intrinsically. Now to defend this, they say that the chariot should be findable through analysis, through ultimate analysis, and then you find the special shape, special configuration when the parts are assembled, and that there's a special shape. That is the chariot. It's all because of the belief that there's an intrinsic nature to the chariot. So if this is the case, then the collection is the shape of the collection of the parts. Collection of parts should be intrinsically real. If the collection of parts is like a dream, then the shape of that collection is also like a dream. You agree? If the chariot you are seeing is actually a magical illusion, the color, the shape, all the attributes of this chariot, the illusion should also be illusion. You agree? So therefore, if the collection itself is not intrinsically real, then the shape of that attribute of that collection, the attribute as a shape of that collection cannot as well be the chariot, because there is also lacking intrinsic. Because if the basis is empty of intrinsic reality, all the attributes should be empty of intrinsic reality. You agree? Okay. Now, with the South Frontier school believe in substantial reality. You're getting it? Impermanent phenomena, they are substantial real. And they believe in substantial reality. So that they also believe in what is known as the imputed entities. Imputed entities. So for example, let's say that the flowers, okay, according to South Frontier school, so those of us who are new, you may get a little lost, but those who are from NMC 1-2 and NDC, you also have some idea. The flower, according to South Frontier, does it exist as autonomous substantial real or empty of autonomous substantial real? Empty of autonomous substantial real. Very good. So this substantially as autonomous real is rejected on the flower. So likewise the collection is also autonomous substantial real or empty of autonomous substantial real. Is also empty of autonomous substantial. So very common example given by Bodhisattva Shantideva was that how, say for example, say the beads, rosary is nothing but a collection of the beads. Collection, again the word collection comes. Rosary is nothing but a collection of the beads. You agree? Collection of beads. And collection of beads, what is collection? Where is the entity substance known as collection? It's just the individual beads put together, that's it. Individual beads put together, this is what we call as collection. And individual beads are not collection. So collection is simply an abstract idea coming to your mind. With the individual beads put together, then the abstract mind comes to a mind. For example, like, okay, to make it a little clearer, let's say that how many things in my hand, in my left hand? Nothing. How many things are in my hand? One. Okay. Particularly, I would say those from NMC 1-2 and this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For you, this is going to be great revision. And for those who are not from these, this is a new learning for you. So you say there's one thing. Now, what is that one thing? Pen. What about the color of the pen? Does it exist or not? It exists in my hand. And color of the pen and the pen, are these one are different? Different. It does different. Different means more than one. More than one. There should be minimum two. So on the one hand you said one and now you're saying different two. So this is a contradiction. This, I'm not going to take much time. This contradiction will be resolved only if you understand the concept of entities and isolates. Very good. So entity-wise, these two are one. So when the common people say that there's only one pen, or say 1 rupee coin. 1 rupee coin, ordinary people say that there's only one coin, 1 rupee coin. And whereas the philosophers like you may say that, oh, there are two isolates. A coin, metal coin, Dorji's coin, impermanent coin, and the phenomenal coin. But there are so many coins there. And the ordinary people think that you are crazy. Okay, so how will you mother? Due to the mental hospital area. Is there any mental hospital around us? If you say that, oh, there are many coins. There are many coins. Pointing to all the different isolates, there are many coins. The ordinary people think that this is a crazy class. You're getting it? So maybe all the crazy people put together in a hall. Okay, so therefore, if you say that this is just one coin, it contradicts with the reason. If you say multiple coins, it contradicts with the conventional world. So how to resolve the two is by understanding the concept of entities and isolates. Okay, so with this we can see that the say individual beads are there. Individual beads are there, and then we also say the collection is there. That's the collection of the beads of which is known as the rosary, is also there. Now, the rosary and the individual beads, they are entity-wise, entity-wise one, isolated-wise different. On the entity level, only the beads are there. On the entity level, on the substance level, only beads are there, because, say, one pen, only one substance there, no two substances are there, only one pen. But the pen, the color of the pen, all are there. They are all different isolates. Substance-wise is one. So, likewise, the collection is just an abstract idea. It's an isolate which a mind creates based on the entities of the individual beads. So the collection is an abstract idea. It's an imputed concept. It's not really there as a substantial reality. So if that lacks substantial reality, then the additional information added, shape of that collection, that also becomes lack of substantial reality. If it does not have a substance, it cannot be intrinsic, substantially real. How many of you got something out of this? Minimum 50%. Okay, minimum 20%. Minimum 50%. 60%. 70%. Very good. Thank you. Okay, now let me read this. Reply. In saying this, you contradict your own assertions, as explained above. Since you assert that what is parts means whole. You getting it? What is parts means the whole. W-H-O-L-E, whole. Does not exist, parts also would not exist. So when the whole is missing, then the parts cannot exist. Therefore, it is unreasonable to posit the mere shape of the parts as the chariot, because, say, for you, mere shape of the parts as the chariot, because the mere shape is what? Parts of the whole of the chariot. Parts is a part. The shape of, let's say, the color of the chariot, shape of the chariot, and the wheel of the chariot, axle of the chariot. What are these? These are all the parts. Whereas the lower schools would say that no, this shape is the whole, that is the chariot. But according to Prasangika, on these based on these the parts, then what is chariot? Chariot is purely mentally imputed entity. Do you agree? Purely mentally imputed. Not just chariot, every phenomenon is purely mentally imputed. This what according to Prasangika is the whole, that is purely mentally imputed chariot, is non-existent for the lower schools, because lower schools, they don't accept things as purely mental imputation. Purely mental imputation means imagination. You're getting it? So according to Prasangika, they cannot posit the whole, the real chariot, which is purely mental imputed. They only accept the parts, including the shape. So if the whole is not there, then the parts will not make sense. So including the shape of the parts of the chariot. The word also in the verse, just that it means, okay, word also is there. You go up, page 280, the same page, in the citation, the second paragraph, which reads, Acharya Chandri's comment on the middle way says, if the mere collection of the parts were a chariot, then chariot would exist even while its parts lie in pieces. Without the whole, the parts do not exist. Here, hence, the mere shape also, this is a word, the mere shape also cannot be the chariot. So also, now the Lama is explaining that, the second last paragraph, the fourth line which reads the word also in a verse just that it means that it is not just a mere collection that cannot be the chariot, but also the shape. Okay, the next paragraph. Furthermore, if you say that such a shape is a chariot, then is the chariot the shape of the individual parts? Okay, now this is all explained it. The individual parts or the shape of the collection. If the former, the individual, is it the shape no different from the shape of the parts prior to the being assembled, or is it the shape unlike the shape prior to the assembly? Meaning that the shape before the assembly or after the assembly, before the assembly or after the assembly, when there is some another shape, the shape of the collection comes. Acharya Chandrakirti's commentary on the middle way points out a fallacy in the first position. If you say that the shape that each part already had is what you know as a chariot, then just as there is no chariot when the parts are unassembled, So it is so when they are when they're assembled. So the shape-wise, there's no difference. No, Lama Tsongkhapa is going to explain it here. Also, the shapes of the wheels and such have no features after assembly, unlike those that are prior to assembly. Before the assembly, what the shape they have? And with the assembly, there's no new shape. It's just the same shape. So therefore, if the unassembled one is not the shape, not the chariot, then the assembled one, the individual shape, should not be the chariot. Therefore, just as there's no chariot when the parts are separate, there's no chariot when they're assembled. Next, suppose that the chariot is some other shape apart from that of the wheels and such prior to assembly. So before the assembly, it does not look like a chariot. With assembly, then it looks like a chariot. That shape is the chariot. If you say this, which appears later when they're assembled, and it's unlike the shape of those earlier parts, Acharya Chandra is commenting on. Okay, now say the individual parts, when assembled, then they assume a different shape. Individual parts, before being assembled and after assembled, these were different. If the opponent say like this, then Acharya Chandra says that it should be visible. So to our eyes, we visibly see that what is assembled and what is not assembled, these two are just same. Okay, reading it. Acharya Chandra is commenting on the middle way, states this fallacy. If now, while the chariot itself is here, and they were a different shape with assembled, then there's a different shape of the individuals, like the wheels and such, then it would be evident, but if it be evident means it should be visible. The shape, say, the first one has a round shape, now the second, when assembled, it should have like a square shape or square or triangle or whatever. No, shape doesn't change, it's just same, it's not visible, it's not evident. It should be evident, but it is not. Therefore, the mere shape is not the chariot with respect to the individual, the parts. If there were something different, some dissimilar feature between the shape of the wheels, the axle, and such before assembly and the shape after assembly, then this would have to be evident, should be seen. Yet, no matter how you look at it, you do not observe such. Hence, it is not reasonable for some shape of the parts after assembly, unlike the shape of the parts prior to the assembly, to be the chariot. The next objection. I do not claim that the individual shapes of the individual parts are a chariot. I consider the general shape. Okay, now this is the more difficult one. I consider the general shape. So when you put together, there is the collection happens. Collection in a special collection happens. On that basis, there's a special shape coming. General shape, not the individual shape. General shape of the collection of the parts when the collection happens, and there's a general shape coming. Shape, not of the individuals, but the general. Of the parts to be chariot. Reply. Acharya Chandri's comment in the middle way states this fallacy. According to you, collections do not exist at all. Collections do not exist at all means collections do not at all exist as substantially. So we said already, individual beads may exist, but the collection is just an abstract idea coming from your mind when the beads are put together. It doesn't at all exist as a substantial entity. So the shape cannot be, the shape of that collection cannot be that, the shape cannot be that of the collection of the parts, meaning that the collection of the parts does not exist as substantially. So how can they be the shape of the shape which is substantial real? If it does not exist substantial real, how can that be intrinsically real? How could you see? So the shape cannot be that of the collection of the parts. Why? Collection of parts do not exist substantially, and shape cannot be a substantial shape of that collection of the parts. How could you see a chariot in the shape of something that does not exist at all, meaning that does not at all exist as substantial? So the opponents say that the chariot exists intrinsically. Intrinsically means independent of your mind. So the substantial meaning something independent of the mind as substantially real. If that does not exist substantially, then how can you say that this shape, which does not exist intrinsically, to be the chariot? This means that it is unreasonable for the shape of a collection to be chariot because, okay, now the Lama Tsongkhapa's commentary will make us easier or clear. Chariot, because in as much as collections do not substantially exist, now look, collection does not exist at all means collection does not exist substantially. It is untenable to impute shape to a collection which is empty of substantial entity. For you essentialists,
hold that all impurity existent phenomena have substantially existent basis of imputation. This is a very important concept that for the lower schools, in fact, all the schools except for Prasangika, whenever you come across the putative entity, for example, the collection, there should be a substantial entity behind that. Substantial. For example, like Misha the bear. What is the Misha the bear? Is there anybody, how many of you know the Misha the bear? Raise hand. Misha the bear. Oh yeah, how many of you don't know Misha the bear? Okay, particularly if the Russians say you don't know the Misha the bear, you are put to a penalty. Russians, if you don't know Misha the bear, raise hands. The Russians who do not know Misha the bear. Russians who do not know the Misha the bear. Hey, Kinzomla, you don't know? You know? Yes, okay. If you know, it's good. Okay, Misha the bear. Misha the bear, okay, just see. You must Google search it, or you ask ChatGPT. What is Misha the bear? You must ask the AI. What is Misha the bear? Seems to be very interesting. Then it'll tell you the detail, and also watch the movie, the videos. So that the closing ceremony, 1984, 88, 1980 closing ceremony of the Olympic. Kate, you were born, not born? Kate, 1980, not born yet. So you say I don't know. It's fine.
All the calendars, it was very famous.
Okay, after you're born. Okay, so thank you. So the Misha the bear, when myself as a little boy, watching it, closing ceremony, watching it, that the spectators, they seen the Misha the bear, the huge, massive Misha the bear, was dropping tears, tick, 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 tick. And the spectators, they're also crying, they become so emotional, they cry. Why? Now they ceremony, this beautiful Olympic Games coming to an end, and the Misha bear, look, he's crying. He or she, I don't know, is crying, and they are crying. Why? These spectators seeing the Misha the bear intrinsically real as a bear, emotionally energized to shed tears. You getting it? So that Misha the bear today, that Misha bear is purely mentally impaired. You agree, Resens? Even by the South Atlantic will say that this is not really substantially there. There's no bear there from the substance. It's purely what your mind constructs. You agree? So there is same pure mental construct. And lower schools will say that what is a mental construct must have a substantial base there. If the substantial base is not there, it becomes imaginary. So Misha the bear is not imaginary. It's real. But it's a mental construct. It's not really, from South Atlantic point of view. It's a mental construct. Not necessarily even from the South Atlantic, even from the point of view of the ordinary people, with no philosophy understanding, even they will understand it's not real. You know that. So for that Misha, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It does exist. Although it's not real, it does exist. It exists by mental imputation, mental construct. But for that to exist as a mental construct, there must be a substantial entity as a basis of designation, where the Misha the bear is constructed, mentally imputed. So what are these the substantial entities? They are, I think about, I don't know how many human beings are there. Maybe like 2,000 human beings are there. The real human beings are there who are actually doing this purpose. Nobody's crying. None of these 2,000 people are crying. They are very nervous if they make mistakes. It's not Russia, it is USSR. You remember? It's not Russia, it was USSR. So they were busy, and they were nervous. If I make mistake, that the whole nation will be in problem. So therefore they make sure that they're so nervous, there are no tears there. And especially if they go there, they're surprised. Nobody's crying. Everybody's nervous. So these are the substantial entities there, based on which, from distance, the spectators, they impute a Misha crying. You getting it? So where, according to Lower schools, wherever there's some putative entity which is mentally imputed, there must have the substantial reality as the basis of destination. Okay, so the shape, it is imputed on the special shape. The collection is imputed on the collection. Collection itself is not substantially real. So how can the shape be substantially real? If not, then it is not intrinsically real. If not, then it cannot be the chariot, intrinsically real chariot. Okay, so let's read this once more. The third line, the last paragraph, third line, the last four. You essentialists who believe in intrinsic reality, who believe in intrinsic reality, hold that all imputedly existent phenomena or putative entities have substantially existent basis of destination. A collection of parts does not have an essential or intrinsic nature. It does not have an essential or intrinsic nature, no substantial entity, so therefore it lacks substance. If it did not intrinsically exist, it would have to be either one. If it did exist,
recording stopped.
If it did intrinsically exist, it would have to be either one with or different. Okay, now you don't know this. You know this already from the past comprising the collection. Whichever you assert, we can refute you as explained above in the case of the chariot. Not one of the parts, not different from the parts. The first two rejection out of the seven. In our system, in our own system, we do not assert that the basis of imputation of the imputed existing phenomena are substantially existent. The shape of the collection of the parts is the basis to which the chariot is imputed. However, since the chariot is an imputedly existent phenomena which is imputed to that shape, we do not consider the mere shape of the collection to be the chariot. So therefore, the chariot is imputed on the shape of the collection of the parts. How do we say that? Because we say that shape of the chariot, you getting it? My body, my mind, my house, shape of the chariot, color of the chariot, axle of the chariot, the wheel of the chariot, these are all the attributes. And the chariot is the attribute, what do you call it? Appropriator. The chariot is the appropriator, and one which appropriates all these attributes, the shape of the chariot, color of the chariot, axle of the chariot, wheel of the chariot, and so forth. So all these the attributes and the appropriated and appropriator cannot be one. You're getting it? So this is our position, meaning Charachandika's position. Therefore, in refuting the position that the shape of the collection is the chariot, we do not have to add any qualification. So likewise, just as the collection is not the chariot, we do not put any qualification. Likewise, for the shape, to reject the shape of the chariot to be the chariot, we don't have to add any qualification. Which means, shape of the chariot is not chariot. Just say this, shape of the chariot is not intrinsically chariot. You don't have to say this. For example, like, this flower is impermanent. You cannot say this flower is not impermanent. If I told you to say this flower is not impermanent, you add the qualifier. This flower is not intrinsic impermanent. You're getting it? So where, because that the chariot is not, the flower is not permanent. Good. No need to say flower is not intrinsically permanent. Because flower is not permanent, directly reject it. No need to add any qualifier. Likewise, the shape is not the chariot. Shape of the chariot is not a chariot. Direct, you don't add a qualifier. Okay. Objection. There's no reason that we cannot impute the chariot. Okay, so the chariot, this in the Tibetan you don't find this. I checked it in the Tibetan. I also checked with the in the Russian translation, they said that it's not there. Okay, there's no reason that we cannot impute a shape which lacks true existence and which depends upon a collection that lacks true existence. So now the opponents they're shifting the position gradually, saying that the shape, still we can impute the shape upon the collection of the parts, which is empty of intrinsic reality, and I should also empty of intrinsic reality. Acharya Chandra said, this is perfectly right. This is exactly what we're saying, replying. In that case, you must agree that there is no reason not to accept. Not accept meaning you have to accept that the production for all effects, like in true existence, production of all effects, cause and effect. Cause and effect, it always happens in the absence of intrinsic reality. In the absence of intrinsic reality, still there can be cause and effect efficacy there. The next, and also the effects lacking to existence. Composition factors, the composition factors means karma. Composition factors, just write it, the karma. In Tibetan, it is duje. It refers to the karma, not just composition factor in general. And the seedlings. So, composition factors and the seedlings and the like, and their corresponding causes, like what? And dependence upon causes that lack of intrinsic, the existence, to existence, ignorant consciousness, which is the first link. Ignorant consciousness is the first link, and but the composite factor is the second link. You're getting it? Second link arising from the second link as the result, arising from the first link as the cause. That cause and effect efficacy is there in the absence of intrinsic nature, number one. Number two, seedlings as the effect, and the seed. Ignorant consciousness, seeds. Seeds are the cause, and above, seedling as the effect. Again, though both lack intrinsic reality, they can still be effectively be cause and effect, and so forth. As Acharya Chandrakirti's commentary on the middle of his stats, as this is what you assert, you should also understand that all effects that of an untrue nature, meaning empty of intrinsic nature, are produced in dependence upon untrue causes. So, like illusion, one cause which is like illusion given rise to another effect which is also like illusion. The metaphor given was that the Buddha, they created an illusion, and this illusion created another illusion. One illusion creating another illusion. And the one common example which is very important for us, and this will help us to shake our the chronic belief in things as intrinsically real, like time. Time, we said, oh, okay. So if I ask 10 years, is it long or short? 10 years, long or short? Okay, I will ask Desi Mendola, 10 years, long or short? Very long. Okay, if somebody asks something of my age, 10 years, long, short? Very short. You're getting it, and don't worry, you'll say the same thing after 40 years. You'll say the same thing. You're getting it? Okay, so look, this 10 years. When I was in my 20s, when I see young people who say, no, I don't want to do the masters, 2 years, long, right? I'll say, no. So today, if somebody says that 2 years long, I'll slap that person. You're crazy. 10 years is short. 2 years, what is 2 years? It's nothing. But don't worry, the young ones, don't worry, I'll not slap. They think that I'm very serious. No, I'm joking. But for the young ones, you see 2 years is something, it's so long. No, it's just a snap of a finger. It's very short. So time, which is intrinsically long duration, intrinsically short, this is all just an illusion that our mind is creating it. So I'd like to share this. For example, all these studies, they should impact in the mind. It's not that we have to complete this text. This is not the goal. The goal is that there should be some imprint left in the mind that the reality, that the world that I'm seeing doesn't really represent reality. So if that comes, the purpose is fulfilled, that we are here in such a holy place in presence of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So what happened was that, it's particularly for those who are new to this, there was a couple, and the lady was washing a dish. And many of you recall the story? The lady was washing a dish, and the gentleman was standing next to the lady. And suddenly there was a magician passing by. Magician, very famous magician passing by. And the gentleman was so happy to see the magician. He rushed to the magician and requested the magician, "Sir, please, they show me the magical illusion." And the magician said that, "What are you telling me? I'm on an important work." And he said, "Please, please, please." He said that, "No, I don't mean to say that I will not do it, but to do that, I need the book where to refer it to. And I'm not carrying this book with me. I'm on some other purpose." So he said, the person said that, "If I may go to get your book," he said, "Okay, if you want to go there to get the book, then it's fine. You can go. I'll wait here, and then I will show my magic." And the magician said, "But my place is quite far away. You can take my horse." So he rode the horse, and this gentleman, he lost the path. He was confused on the path. He could not track the correct way to the magician's house. So he ended up in a very different place. One day, 1 week, 1 month, and 1 year, 2 years. Then he was disconnected from his wife. And the magician was waiting there. And he was disconnected. He just, with the horse, he went. So then he met with, he got married to some lady, had a child, and child died, the wife died. Again, he was going there. Again, it happened like 4 times. And finally, then he grew old. Then he realized that now life is so meaningless. All these things just meaningless. And then he was left with one child. And 2 of them were crossing the river. Crossing a big river, very forceful river. And while he was trying to take the child with him, child was also washed away by the river. And he was left with nothing. He lost the first wife, all the children, everything. And then he thought, now the life is totally meaningless. It's so sad, full of tears. He said, no point in me in living. I should die. Then he jumped into the river. How many years passed? Minimum 5-6 years passed. He jumped into the river, and he ended up seeing that he was next to his wife, who was still washing the dishes. It's just 10 minutes, which he saw as like a whole eon, 5-10 years. This is how our mind is creating illusion of time. You getting it? So there's no intrinsic, how the time doesn't exist as intrinsic real. These stories are very, very helpful. This story, the first time that I was shared was by my teacher, Venerable Lamrim, who was the hermit in Dharamsala, who was hermit. He shared this, not exclusive for me. There were some students who came to attend teachings from Venerable Geshe, Lamrim on emptiness, and I was the translator. I was translating for him, and then this was a story that he shared. And later on, I came to know that this story is in some very authoritative sources, so sutras or some commentaries. Okay, I think Manla Vijayla and Ajikasanla, we need to have a quick meeting to see what tomorrow we have time. Tomorrow we have time, no time for class.
Tomorrow we have no time for the teaching session.
Why?
Because tomorrow we have all the special events at the Khangtsen.
Oh, tomorrow. Day after tomorrow? Day after tomorrow?
Tomorrow there will be one more teaching session.
Okay, so day after tomorrow I'll try to finish this chapter, this section, and then after this there's refuge. After this. Okay, so we'll stop here. Direction prayer. Sunamla. Mike. Mike. Hey, Mike. give it to the Vijayala. Vijayala, lead the direction prayer.
Dedication prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful, generous, dancing God soul, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Saman Bhaja too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of doctrine of scripture and insight. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the 2 stages. Having dispelled all inner and outer obstacles and downfalls, such as poverty, despair, oppression, cruelty, epidemics, and natural disasters due to environmental degradation, may all beings forever enjoy the glory of peace and happiness. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. May I spend day and night carefully reflecting by what means can I enhance this teaching achieved by the Supreme Savior through strenuous efforts over countless eons. From my 2 collections, vast as space, that have amassed from wicked effort that's practiced over great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance.
Three processions together.
Om Muni Muni Maha Muniye Swaha. 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 Om Muni Muni Maha Muniye Swaha.